Hi, my name is Jay Dick, and I'm the Senior Director of State and Local Government Affairs here at Americans for the Arts. And I'm going to be spending the next few minutes talking to you about Advocacy 101. Some just general what is, definitions of Advocacy 101, and some things that you should be doing here at Arts Advocacy Day, and quite frankly, all year round. So the first thing that I want to do is do a little definitions. Education, advocacy, and lobbying. People get these really confused, so I want to take a few moments on this. Education is just simply that you're imparting knowledge. You're telling people, about the arts. The arts are important, whatever the case happens to be. For especially those people that work for a nonprofit organization, you can educate as much as you want. There's no limit on that. The next one is advocacy. People start to get a little worried about this one, but again, advocacy is just basically wanting to, you're putting a little bit of a spin to it, saying, oh, the arts add value to society. The arts, people that have arts, score 100 points higher on average on their SATs, stuff along those lines. Under IRS guidelines, again, you can advocate as much as you want. Now, the only area, lobbying, that there are some limits on this, but I want to make sure that you know what they are, because chances are you can do more than you really think you can do. Lobbying is pleading the case of making a plea to an elected official or their staff to support a piece of legislation. In order to be lobbying, you have to do actually three things. You have to, one, be talking to a decision maker or an elected official, their key staff. You have to be, two, talking about a specific piece of legislation, regulation, whatever the case happens to be. And then three, you have to be advocating a position for or against something. If you're not doing all three of those at once, you are not legally lobbying. So you can see in your day-to-day life, you do very, very little lobbying. You actually do more education and advocacy, or you better be doing education and advocacy, but not a lot of lobbying. And even under IRS guidelines for a nonprofit organization, you can still spend up to 20% of your resources on lobbying. So in other words, you can do more than you think you can do. And so the idea is you need to be out there educating, advocating, and lobbying your elected officials. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about some key principles in cultural advocacy. This is some stuff that kind of a to-do list. For you. Advocacy must be part of your daily mission. That's pretty self-explanatory. Always be thinking about what you can do to advocate for the arts in your local community. Success depends on a unified message. This is so very important, whether you're in your local community talking to your city council, or you're talking here on Capitol Hill. Elected officials are not often going to distinguish between various different forms of arts, dance versus theater, etc. To them, the arts is the arts. So you need to have a unified message. Seek to establish coalitions. A lot of people out there care about the arts that are not necessarily art-centric. So figure out how you can reach out to them to make our case even more stronger. Politics is fluid. Change is constant. You have to be ready for it. This is pretty basic, but establish a strategy and a plan, and a backup plan, and a backup to that backup plan, because you will always need to be ready to do stuff, because sometimes things can turn really, really quickly, especially on the state level. You can go from the state house to the state senate to the governor within a few hours, so you have to be ready for it. Get to know your elected officials, and that's kind of what I'm going to be talking a little bit more about here is, if you get to know them, you can become their arts resource, and that is a very powerful thing. Understand how your activities contribute to the greater good. So often as artists or arts organizations, you don't take time to stop and pat yourself on the back to say, we're doing some really good things out here. And you just make sure that you do that from time to time to keep, one, your own sanity, and also to let people know that, hey, we are doing really good things. Treat your allies and opponents with friendly respect. Again, we're above the fray. The arts are neither left nor right. But we're the arts, and we appeal to everyone. So always treat your opponents with friendly respect. Work hard for your political friends. This is as an individual, when they're up for re-elections, that if they're art supporters, you need to get out and knock on some doors with them, or write them a check from your personal account. Politicians respond to voters, so target voters for your advocacy. Get those people, your audiences, your boards of directors, your family, your friends, the people down the street that you're walking past, to get them involved with you, because the more people you can get, the more influential that you'll be. And then lastly, something that I do not do is strive for clarity and brevity in all that you do. Keep it short and sweet, because elected officials, their staffs are busy, and you need to make sure that you are getting the important stuff that's out with them. Now, when I talk about advocacy or an advocacy campaign, I talk about an advocacy pie. Basically, there's lots of different parts to a pie, but if one of those slices are missing, you don't have a complete pie, and it still tastes good, but you're not going to have all of it. So when we're talking about advocacy, we need to make sure that we have everything that we're doing everything that we can to make a complete advocacy campaign. The first part of the advocacy pie is what we call grassroots or grassroots activities. And we're familiar with these, grassroots are pertaining to the common people. And so we're always talking about the grassroots, out there. And so how do you go about getting those people to sign up for your action e-list? How do you get those people to understand your message? How do you even find them? So that's some things that we always are doing here at Americans for the Arts, that we're doing on the state level, and hopefully that you're doing on your local levels, is reaching out and identifying more and more grassroots people at every turn. Well, who are these people? Well, basically anyone with an interest to tell, anyone with a story, anyone who wants to change the law or status quo. So, in other words, you are our activists, and that's why you're coming here to Washington, D.C. to help us. We all have a common interest in the arts, and we've all been affected by the federal, state, or local governments in their appropriations, or what they're doing for education, or tax laws, or whatever that affects us as the arts community. But the most important thing here is, again, do not limit yourself to a small circle of friends or supporters. Reach out as much as you possibly can to get as many people as you possibly can, because that's how we will be successful. And you'd be surprised how many people out there really do care about the arts. We just have to find them. The second part to the advocacy pie is what I call grass tops. Grassroots, grass tops. So grass tops are those individuals that personally know the elected official. They can pick up the phone and either call them in their office and actually talk to that person, talk to the elected official, not their staff. They have their cell phone number, or they have their personal email account. They are their friends. And it's very important, to try to have a few grass tops people for each elected official that's out there. And this is gets relatively easy to do on the local level or the state level, because these are your neighbors and your friends, and you should be able to identify and be able to contact them. So the idea behind grass tops for an elected official is it's so much harder for you to tell your friend, no, I'm not going to vote for this, or I can't support you. And you're more likely to get a yes out of them, especially when you have grassroots people sending emails in and whatnot. So that's the political cover versus the grass tops people. So grass tops are the second part of the advocacy pie. The third part is business support. I can't overestimate or overstate how important business support is, and this is oftentimes the crux of a lot of our arguments, that that the arts create jobs and and help the economy. So business should be our natural ally in this, and they are. Once we can get out and show them how the arts support your local community, or how they do make a difference, they're the ones that are going to be involved with us. And so I encourage you. We do a lot of research studies here at Americans for the Arts. Our creative industries reports, our arts and economic impact studies that are always coming out. And you can always go to americansforthearts.org/research to get any of these reports. They're free to the public, and we encourage you to use them, because we find, again, it's very powerful. When we started talking about how the arts are good for the economy and how the arts create jobs, we got a lot more success in our legislative activities, as opposed to just saying the arts are good for the soul. Now, the arts, of course, are good for the soul, but elected officials, especially those who are really focused in on jobs and the economy, that's what they want to hear. So that's what we have to lead by. And then they'll figure out that the arts really do help with the soul of the community and makes it a place where you do want to call home. The other part of the advocacy pie is what media. You're relying on the media or media campaigns. This can be anywhere from writing a letter to the editor, to your local newspaper or TV station, to taking out ads in your newspapers, or whatever you can do to get more and more eyeballs to your site or your website or to your cause. And whenever you're writing a letter to the editor, always make sure you include, if you're targeting an elected official, to put their name in it, because elected officials are always searching for their names. And then also put your organization's name or your website, again, so you can get some more grassroots folks to help you out next time. So always, think about the media, because it can be an important tool. The last part of my advocacy pie is state and local arts organizations. And a lot of you are probably a member of your state arts organization or your local arts organization. This goes back to a unified message. We have to have a unified message, and the best groups to do that are your state arts advocacy organizations on the state level, who gather all the voices from the locals to come up to an idea or a common message. And then on the local level, your local arts agency. Again, people that bring everyone together in the local community, so you can have a unified message. Because if you don't have that, it can get very, very difficult for you to matter. And if you really want to find out, if you don't know who your elected officials, your state arts organization is, your state arts advocacy organization is, you can always go to www.americansforthearts.org/SC/SAN and find out, click on the roster, and you can find out who your state members are. Lastly, a few goals I just want to give you. Why are we doing this other than to promote the arts? But some of our goals here is for you to build a professional relationship with those elected officials or their staffs. You want them to reach out to you whenever they have a question, and so that's why you should just say, look, I want to be your volunteer arts staffer. Whenever you have a question, come to me. And when they do come to you, give them an honest answer. Because that's what they value. Knowledge is power. You need to be the expert. You are the expert on our issues, and you need to make sure that you are conveying that knowledge to your elected officials. And for your supporters, as an individual, again, volunteer on their campaigns, go door knocking, etc. You don't have to have big money. You don't have to have a PAC. But get to go out and volunteer for them. Again, you can always do that as an individual. You can't do that from your C3 nonprofit or anything like that, but you certainly can as an individual. And then lastly, in closing, you can and you will make a difference. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We just have to keep going at it. We've seen a lot of great strides made in the last 8 to 10 years. We've taken a few steps back, but it's one of those 2 steps forward, sometimes 1 step back. But we're going in the right direction, and we are, through you, doing a lot of great things. So as always, we look forward to seeing you at Arts Advocacy Day. You can always, before then, if you have any questions, you can always email me at jay@artsusa.org, and I'd be happy to help you. And I look forward to seeing everyone at Arts Advocacy Day. Thanks.